Now's the time to spring into savings on a new Mazda at Team Mazda. Right now, get 1.9% financing on the new 24 Mazda CX-5, named the #1 compact SUV. The time to save is now on your new Mazda at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.
That would be concerning and maybe set a precedent moving forward.
If you have plans to be outside, you might hit a couple of these little passing showers.
A drug bust and a few arrests made. Look at what they hauled in here. Can't get them off the table.
Well, at the end of the show, a while ago, you were talking about this tea with tapioca balls in it.
There it is.
It's National Bubble Tea Day.
Yeah. But what is that and where you...
It's tapioca.
So you can go to, you can go to a local, like usually Asian.
Little Vietnamese shop.
Bubble tea store.
But tapioca's tiny.
But they come in, size matters, Johnny. They have different size straws. They have different size cups.
I was going to say, you can choose. Spoon to eat that stuff.
Some are clear. Yeah. Some people do.
My girls love it. I mean, look, I've tried it a few times. I don't know, Steve, if you've tried it. I've tried it a number of times. My girls love it. My wife.
It's kind of like a smoothie with, little pearls in there.
Trying to get us all fired over here. You see what happens when you hijack the top of the show where you're not supposed to be here?
Right. When I hijack, they need to know when I'm going to hijack it because they'll tune in.
Y'all should have known.
Who's they?
The people?
John Eads.
John. Good morning, John.
Morning, John.
Thanks for watching.
Hey, over here, Johnny.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is his first time on. He hasn't quite learned the red
Bob
light.
even pulled up the camera to get you on camera.
Oh, dear heavens.
Because you heard the voice.
I need more. I need more.
Well, there's no tapioca in this one. Whatever.
We just got to go
He's
for
a
an
little
outing.
less when it comes to you, actually, Johnny.
So much sugar and caffeine over there.
Well,
I think it's just sugar and caffeine.
because it's Tuesday. Extra dose of coffee. Maybe sugar, too.
I don't even know. Hey, you know what? Here's the thing. Okay, so the story this morning for us has been fog. It's been a weather headline. And so take it easy out there. It can get kind of crazy and serious. But if you are careful, this is really cool to look at. Can we still see the shadow?
Yeah, you can still see it a little bit. So this is our sky cam looking down on this blanket of fog right now. And if you can make it out, a little shadow from our tower here at WAFB as the sun comes up over the capital city. Now, as we first started looking at the shot during the 4:30 half hour earlier this morning, we could see the top of the Mississippi River Bridge, but it gradually disappeared around 6 or a little after 6 this morning. Boy, look at how thick the fog is now on the Port Allen side of the river. It's our Sky 9 camera. Back in here somewhere is the old ferry landing. That view brought to you by Our Lady Lake. Visibility at the airport in Baton Rouge now near zero. Near zero, Hammond, Gonzales, New Iberia, Opelousas. So this is the real deal. Some widespread, very dense fog in the area right now. Dense fog advisory in effect locally for most of us through 9 a.m. on the west side of the Atchafalaya Basin. Officially runs through 10 o'clock this morning. So we give you some reminders as you get out the door and into this fog. Number one, low beam headlights, not the brights. Number two, maybe most importantly, you got to leave some extra space between you and cars ahead of you. The fog comes up fast. There are areas where visibility isn't that bad, and then all of a sudden you hit it, and if anybody's slowing down or stopped ahead of you, you just don't have much time to stop. Some extra drive time, a good idea, and be extra careful with kids making their way out to the bus stop. So here's a look at our fog cast. Staying in here through mid-morning, and probably as we get beyond 9 a.m. we start to see it dissipate. By noon it should be gone, but late tonight into tomorrow morning could see some fog returning, so we may see another dense fog advisory late tonight into early Wednesday. Temperature-wise, kind of comfortably cool outside this morning. Mid-50s to low 60s, Baton Rouge 61, Macomb among the cooler spots at 55. Once the fog does get out of here, again, mid to late morning, it'll warm up in a hurry. I've got us up to 80 at noon, highs in the upper 80s, and we do keep it dry. But that changes later this week, we think. Scattered rains return Friday. That's 1 o'clock Friday afternoon. The 7-day outlook keeping heavier rains start north and northwest, generally with totals locally at an inch or less. So our best rain chances, it looks like over the next several days, falling on Friday. Otherwise, some small rain chances tomorrow, Thursday, again over the weekend. Your Cinco de Mayo on Sunday, mainly dry but very warm, upper 80s to near 90. And increasing odds that we get to 90, if not a bit above, as we head into next week. All right, 7:07, so Johnny, obviously a lot of fog in the area. What does that mean for traffic outside this morning?
I got to tell you, you hit the nail on the head. You can be driving along and then boom, it just gets completely socked in. All the more reason, as Steve said, give some extra stopping distance so you don't smack into the back of someone. We've already seen a couple of wrecks, possibly fog related. Here's I-12 approaching the 10-12 merge, and from the merge all the way to downtown, very, very foggy. Here's I-10 at the 10-12 merge where the two interstates come together. You see the traffic on the westbound side over here. That's traffic lined up to get off at the Acadian off-ramp. That's the College Drive overpass right there, and right beyond that's Acadian, and that's what those folks are kind of getting lined up to get off there at Acadian. We saw the tower cam shadow right here. That's our tower right here in Baton Rouge, kind of in the shadows of the fog. Both ferries are still not working in Iberville Parish. Now, I walked off set a second ago and just snapped another picture of the outage. We have a wreck at Starring at Highland a little earlier this morning. It's actually on Highland at Starring, and that don't know if that's the cause, but we have a lot of power outages in that area, and this is a brand new scrape off of their website like not even 30 seconds ago, and it's still showing that you have some in the Highland Creek subdivision and all along Highland right there. Some powers outage, powers out in that area, so be aware of that and treat some of these intersections as four-way stops if you come upon them, especially in the fog. Absolutely stop and slow down, look left and right 2 or 3 times. 7:08, uncomfortable morning in news. And some unbelievable headlines, and we'll get to those with Matt and Liz in just a moment.
$7:10 your time right now, getting you the very latest. One of the conversations going on coast to coast and now in Louisiana as well, protests on college campuses when it comes to the war in Gaza, right? Israel and Hamas, and protests at a pretty well-known university in South Louisiana.
Let's take you down to Tulane, where you can see here protests late into the night. In fact, late into this morning. Sure. This is about between midnight and 3, where you had folks from the pro-Palestinian camp and folks who are anti war on this here, and you can see some of this actually ended up in clash with police there at Tulane. In fact, 6 campus intruders is what Tulane police are calling it. They were actually arrested, accused from a number of offenses, from battery on a police officer to resisting arrest and trespassing. On Tuesday, some of those classes actually had to be canceled, where some of these protests were intruding on some of those classes. So what will Wednesday bring?
Yeah, look, the officials have said, look, we're absolutely for the ability to peacefully protest, but when it gets to any kind of criminal activity, that's not going to be tolerated. We'll see what ends up happening. I'll tell you what, though, all that's going on, right? But a back seat, and it's hard to put a back seat on something like that. Yeah. But what happened in North Carolina absolutely stole the headlines yesterday, or should have. 4 members of law enforcement shot and killed, 4 more injured in essentially what turned out to just be an ambush, Liz.
I mean, this developing headline, we've been following it for you really since about 1 o'clock yesterday, our time, right? 3 U.S. Marshal Task Force officers and a Charlotte-Mecklenburg police officer are the ones that killed. 4 more officers shot, still recovering. This was the scene there as they were kind of following up on a fugitive warrant operation Monday. So a standard operation that ended up calling, the SWAT unit ended up calling in. You can see multiple state agencies there in North Carolina also called in. Matt, as a result of all of this too, they actually found 2 women gunman in the home where they found that suspect.
Yeah.
They eventually engaged in ongoing fire with that suspect, and that's where he was killed by a police officer there, ended up in that yard. But Matt, a lot of questions following this investigation, and the families. You think about the family members of those officers today. So we're going to follow up on the 4 more injured and let you know what comes out of that.
Shooting here in South Louisiana here, Baton Rouge, actually. This is earlier this morning from one of our lenses, our Brandon Shackelford at the scene. This is the very newest information. This is from BRPD saying that this North 15th Street shooting has left 1 person in critical condition. In
the meantime, Baton Rouge police, you can see early on that scene, investigating exactly what happened here and how that person ended up in critical condition. If you have any tips, it's a call to Crime Stoppers at 344-STOP. But we need you to call in tips to the Tangi Crime Stoppers line as well. Who you're looking at here, this is 31-year-old Carol Allen. She's from New Orleans. She's a mother of 4. Well, she was found with stab wounds in the backseat of a car in Hammond, Matt. This was actually a car found off of West Pleasant Ridge Road. So
you see that number up top, right? 1-800-554-5245. If you think you can get them going in the right direction, please make that phone call. Only got about 90 seconds left with you here this morning, so we want to touch on some of the big talking items. Moving ahead with St. George, leaders are going to continue to want the input from folks out there. We'll continue. This looks like it's just getting going. That right there, 150-page plan of action. You've got the governor with a lot of things going on right now from, actually says that the media is doing a disservice when it asks questions of folks, trying to move forward with the Constitutional Convention as well. A lot going on as the regular session still pushes forward.
Certainly. And of course, wrapping up here, you can see that lawsuit, of course, which they filed there on April 29th. Yeah, the big story there coming out of a joint press conference there at the state capitol with the state superintendent of education. You got the Attorney General, Liz Murrill, who says that they are fighting for the state's rights. Considering that the state gets a considerable amount of federal funding, how will this move forward? We're going to follow that for you here. Hey, a heads up for folks in Killian. Oh, let's get you to Gonzales first, where there, Barney Arsenault, it is his last day just yesterday there in office, leaving to move into another role here. We also got to get you to Killian, where we want to remind you tomorrow you may lose water pressure as they do a detailed inspection of the water system. They want to make sure that you are given a heads up notice about that you will not be able to use your water. You can still pick up that water though at City Hall, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Let's bring it back into the table here as we talk a little bit about the headline for a lot of folks in South Louisiana. It is going to be the fog. And Steve, you were talking about earlier this morning that as the sun rises, it actually gets a little bit worse, but then eventually the sun will help burn it off.
Yeah, that's right. So we get a temperature inversion in the morning. Pretty typically, that's where as you go up in the sky, the temperature actually gets warmer, right, instead of getting cooler as it normally would. And that kind of gives us that layer of fog. That inversion will start to erode as the morning goes on. 9, 10 o'clock should get better.
There you go.
Well, we have a show to track it all with you. Stay with us. Come back in 10 minutes for another check of weather and traffic.
If you're looking for the perfect companion for family fun and adventure, or wanting to find adventure beyond the ordinary, experience all that the Toyota Tundra has to offer. Save on your new Tundra right now at Team Toyota, I-12 and O'Neill.